We can't get any nourishment from that reflection of the apple. So there's the spiritual world is substance, and this is the reflection of the substance. It's a reflection. It's not substantial. You read in the first purport of the first canto of the Bhagavatam, and you'll find that substance and category Prabhupada uses. That's English terms. There's sat and there's asat. And the asat is just a reflection of sat. Or it's something that Prabhupada would say in the West a lot, because people from the West know something about the Bible. So as man is created in the image of God. So there's the image, and then there's the creation. It's in the image of. It's a reflection of. It's in the likeness of. But here it's just it's an imitation of the real thing.
But it is not opposite, right?
It's a reflection. It's not opposite. It's just a reflection.
Okay. But why it is called inverted? Oh, it's okay. Reflection is inverted.
Yeah. Well, the usual term is the perverted. So if there's some wind blowing and it's making some ripples in the water, when you look at the reflection, it's kind of distorted or perverted. A distorted or perverted reflection. And sometimes it looks like, that the tree is getting big, and sometimes it looks like it's getting skinny or getting long. And it's, but the image is there because the real thing is there. And then there's the reflecting surface, the lake. So here the reflecting surface is the mind. The mind is carrying the image of reality, but it's a distorted image of reality. So we're accepting illusion to be reality, and reality to be illusion. Or I don't know. Or, I'm an agnostic, I can't say. Or it doesn't exist. I'm an atheist. But that's just in the mind.
You're just saying that it is not real. So that is the meaning of
Well, there's something there. When you have an image in your mind, there's something. It's not. Let's say you have a dream, and there's something going on in your dream, but it's not reality. Supposing it's like a bad dream, and you wake up and you're screaming, and you're perspiring, your heart is. There wasn't a tiger after all. But, your heart is beating and you're perspiring and you may be crying or calling out, help. And something's going on, but it's not reality. It's illusion. But there's something. And it's a reflection, a distorted reflection of ultimate reality. So how do we get in touch with ultimate reality, please? And that's what yoga is, linking with the ultimate reality. And there are different types and stages of yoga and yoga realization and connecting with reality beyond the limits of the mind and senses. So the reflection is what's going on in the mind. And then from the mind, then we create things. Like I'm sitting in a chair. So before there was a chair, there was an idea. Right? And then, voila. Some passage of time and some effort and this and that, and there's a chair. Everything in this world comes from something subtle. Before the gross is the subtle. And before the subtle is the spiritual. But we're so absorbed in the gross manifestation, the reflection, that we're not checking out where this reflection is coming from, and why does it have misery? Why isn't it nice? I want nice, not misery. And there is such a thing. We want it because there is such a thing. We want happiness because there is happiness. It's our nature. But we're looking in the wrong places. That's the reflection.
This question is a rephrased question from the other day about illusion versus reality mentioned in Matrix. That one.
You know what matrix is, right? Yeah. Okay. Huh? I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it either, but I've been asked, she's making reference to it. I've been asked to speak about it in colleges. I've not seen it either, but the poster that advertises it is a guy that has two hands. All you just see is hands, and there's a red pill and a blue pill. Because the Matrix guy says, which do you want, reality or illusion? And of course they say they want reality, not illusion. And then the reality is scary. So that's the reference. Go ahead.
So the question from Chandana Mataji is, why is reality not nicer than illusion when we are striving to get out of illusion?
It is nicer. But the reality of the illusion is not nicer. Jamna mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshana darshanam. That's not nice. We've bought into illusion, and the reality is the illusion is not nice. Or yehi samsparsha ja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate, which means you want happiness and you get distress. I don't want to acknowledge I'm getting distressed because I wanted happiness. I want happiness. But the reality is, if we're striving for happiness independent of the source of everything, we're going to get distress. That's the reality. That's not very pleasing, because I bought into the program. I got a lot of shares in that stock. I bought a used car, and you're telling me it's a bad deal, huh? I got a broken model. You have to put a lot of money into this broken model. That's not good news. It's a path of misery. The reality is, material existence is a path of misery. That's the reality pill. Now there's the transcendental reality, and that's nice.
And there are two questions from Sanchari Mataji from Houston. First one is, I'm thinking about the Samadarshana verse and how you also stated that kindness does not mean that one should go and hug a tiger. The pure devotee, as I understand, sees the soul in all situations. So even though in a particular form there may cause severe hardship, the pure devotee understands the situation on the platform of the soul.
Yes.
Therefore, true forgiveness occurs.
Yes.
Samadarshana is a goal, a high goal. However, for one who is at the beginning stages, what should Samadarshana look like? How do we balance discernment and kindness in a way that pacifies the hurt ego and keeps pushing one forward on the path of devotional service?
Well, you don't have to. If your program is pacifying the hurt ego, you're stuck. You're not going to make much progress. So you just move to another. Hit the pause button, the ego pause button, and say, that's not really me. any more than the other person is the covering over the soul. I'm not the covering of the soul either. So in the beginning stage, that's the question. The beginning stage, you have to. The discerning capacity has to go towards the spiritual conception of life. And in the beginning, there isn't a spiritual conception of life. There's the material conception of life. But so at least in the beginning, there has to be some faith, preliminary faith. You've heard this from me many times. There is a higher reality. 3 things in the beginning. There is a higher reality. 2, I don't know what that higher reality is. 3, I'd like to know what that higher reality is. That's what you do in the beginning. And then you hear from Bhagavad Gita and other standard texts, this is what that higher reality is. And you can't understand it because you're not there yet. But you have some faith, so that's what you do in the beginning. In faith, you engage in sadhu sangha and bhajana kriya. That is, you associate with spiritually minded persons and you engage in activities of discussing spiritual topics, even though you don't understand it yet, and you're still in the bruised ego platform. You're not there yet. You're not in the samadarshana stage yet. But you have faith, and you're engaged in hearing and discussing and trying to understand that reality which you know exists, but you don't yet understand it. That's what you do. And yet that's cleansing to the cover. It cleanses the coverings of the soul and permits some light to come in. And when that little light comes in, it's refreshing. It's uplifting. It feels there's some relief from the position of darkness. And you keep going because there's light. So you keep going. That's what you do in the beginning.
And her second question is, we hear that the rope was tied around Krishna's stomach in the Damodar pastime. And Mother Kunti prays Namaste Pankajangre. And Lord Brahma rests on a lotus which originates from the navel of the Lord. Why is that particular feature of Krishna given so much importance?
Which particular feature? His abdomen? Well, in the prayer of Queen Kunti, it's not just his abdomen. It's his legs and his waist and his head and his feet. They're all featured. And the abdomen, as far as I can understand, it's just a standard way where mothers that want to tie up their child, that's where they tie them. They don't tie them around the neck. Excuse me. That's it?
Guru Maharaj, it's about the bruised ego, the Sanchari Mata's question. I'm thinking in terms of the needs. Like it is clear. It looks like. I'm understanding. Maybe it's a subtle body. So through connecting to the transcendence, we can go. But there is also physical needs. Not having enough food, rest, things like that. So just trying to see where the needs fit into the picture, Guru Maharaj. Like when one is hungry, tired, it helps them better come to transcendence when those lower needs are taken care. So, is that the right direction?
I hope you understand your question because I don't. We have needs, but it's not that there's no denial. I'm not sure why you're asking. I'm not sure what you're asking or why you're asking what you're asking, because it's not a denial of needs. It's just while taking care of physical, mental, and intellectual needs, don't neglect the soul, because everything's resting on the soul. Does that address your question?
Yeah.
It's a holistic picture of the package.
Okay. I understood, like getting to the transcendence takes care. We don't need to worry about the lower ones.
I don't know if I said that.
It's my understanding. Thank you.
Anything further?
Maharaj, I was thinking about the past life of Aghasura, and I wanted to just clarify if my understanding is correct. So, in his past life, he had pride and he kind of acted or offended a sadhu.
Yes.
And so when one offends the sadhu, then their anarthas become more exaggerated. Is that why he got this demons?
Well, he was cursed to become a serpent. It's not just, he wasn't karmic. It was more. It was stronger. It's not too terribly dissimilar from the serpent, Vidyadhara serpent that was swallowing Nanda, but his situation wasn't as bad, apparently, as Agha's was, because the serpent, as soon as the serpent was just touched by the feet of Krishna, by left foot of Krishna, immediately his body transformed. So that his evil disposition was much less, and the consequence was much less. The mitigation was much easier. Okay?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Um, we were discussing 10 offensive ways or 10 offenses of chanting. And one of the offenses Mataji mentioned is using chanting for fruitive chanting.
Okay.
And going back to your physical needs, sometimes your body is tired, and you're fasting for 2 continuous days, and I mean for Janmashtami and Vyasa Puja. So and while you're trying to perform services, I don't know if it is offensive. Sometimes when you think you are establishing a connection with Krishna, and it is said that when you love somebody, you hurt them also the most. So I don't know, is it an offense when you sometimes you take Krishna for granted, like Krishna, I'm very tired today, probably I'm not able to do in the same intensity as the other days. So I don't know if
That's okay. That's not offensive. That was her question. It was not verbatim her question, but it was the same question. It's not offensive. It says, when there's hills and there's valleys, that the sine curve of bhakti goes up and down. Unsteady bhakti goes like that. So it's not that you've been invited into a process that's going to guarantee you're going to make offenses, because sometimes you're down. That's not the way it is. And so don't worry like that. You strive, and to your capacity. That's what you do. And if your capacity sometimes is way up here, great. Sometimes your capacity is somewhere in between, fine. Sometimes it's down, okay. But you're not complacent wherever you are. You're wishing to take another step, take another step. We do that in life with anything. So you do it in the life of bhakti too. It's not offensive. Just that, I have to be honest with my present moment to moment situation, and right now I'm down. I'm not. And you accept that, and okay, what's a step that I can take in the right direction? Okay. It's part of the reconciliation that goes in the life of be earlier stages of bhakti, or even not exactly earlier stages, but the progressive stages of bhakti is contending with your own judgments of yourself. You're not being judged by Krishna, so don't judge yourself. You just be in your relationship as your capacity permits. Just like you said, when you're close to some people, you can be hurt and hurt them more than when people that are way over there. So you're getting close to Krishna. Krishna's not judgmental. Don't judge yourself.
Yeah, sometimes I feel guilty that you're neglecting him. You're not doing.
Well, turn that negative emotion into a positive one. I can do. And when does that stage come that you've done everything that you can do? There's always more. So if I'm in a down position, or I'm not strong, or whatever it is, and I could be doing. So what's something more that I can do from this present situation? And it can be so weak, like I don't know if I can do much of anything. Okay, but even in that, there's a thought of, I want to be in my relationship with Krishna, and I'm weak right now, and Krishna knows. So you express that, or you feel that feeling instead of guilt. And acceptance and progress is the term. And I am where I am, and that's where I am. Not like, too bad, Krishna. It's just between myself and Krishna. He knows, and I'm acknowledging before Krishna, this is where I am, and I wish to take a step in a direction and show Krishna that's my capacity right now, and I'm taking the step that I can take, and you do that. It turns the negative emotion into a positive step. Acknowledgement, acceptance, and progress is the term. We had a whole weekend in our farm community in Pennsylvania, a retreat on that theme, acceptance and progress, and everybody spoke on that topic from their perspective. And
Thank you, Maharaj.
you might want to listen to those recordings. He can send them to you. Acceptance and progress. It's nice. Self-honesty doesn't have to result in a negative emotion. It can just be acknowledgement. 3 deep breaths, and then what's a step that's doable? And even you may say, okay, that's a doable step, and you don't do. Oh, I didn't do. Beat myself up a few times, and then that doesn't help anything. It's just, you again look to your relationship with Krishna. A nice example that's given in Nectar Devotion I like a lot. Although I haven't had a child in my life, but children have a walking propensity, and the stage where the child is learning to walk, there's lots of tumbling, but because the walking propensity is within, after effort, with a little assistance from, mother holding the child's finger or something, then they can learn to walk. It's just a motor skill, and it's already innate. So devotional propensity is already there, and it will come out just practice and some tumbling and get up and practice again. Some more tumbling, and because it's natural, not something artificial. It's something that's already within. Just needs some practice, and it comes out. As with motor skills, so also with spiritual strength. So right now I'm not so strong. That's okay. Practice.
Thank you, Maharaj.
And don't beat yourself up. Don't get into that space that I'm feeling guilty, I'm bad, I'm unworthy, or something like that. That doesn't help. That's it? Okay, thank you. Prabhupada ki. Jai. Ooh, it's 8:30.